you ever think your whole life is safe, until one morning, you realize even the ground beneath your feet isn't yours anymore. That's exactly how it started for me. The house I'd spent 15 years turning into a home, the place where my kids took their first steps, where I cooked Thanksgiving dinners, where every wall had a story, was gone, sold, without a single word to me. I remember that morning so clearly, the smell of coffee, the sunlight hitting the curtains, the quiet hum of our old refrigerator. It felt like any other day until I saw the letter. It wasn't even addressed to me. It had his name, Mark Turner, printed clean across the envelope, but curiosity got the better of me. It came from a real estate agency in town. I tore it open, and my heart just dropped. Congratulations on the sale of your property. Sale. At first, I thought it was a mistake, some clerical error. Maybe they'd mixed up addresses. But as I flipped through the papers, I saw our address, our signatures, even a notary stamp that looked painfully real. I felt my chest tighten. My hands started shaking so bad I had to sit down. When Mark came in from the garage, wiping grease off his hands like nothing in the world was wrong, I just stared at him. Mark, what is this? I held the papers up. He froze for a second, just 1 second, but I caught it. That flicker of guilt that flashed across his face before he forced a smile. Oh, it's just some refinancing thing, babe. Don't worry about it. My voice cracked. Refinancing. It says sold, Mark. Sold. He tried to laugh, but it came out nervous. You're overreacting. It's complicated, but it's fine. We're fine. I stood up, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. You sold our house, without even telling me. That's when his smile disappeared. His eyes went cold, sharp. You wouldn't understand, he said. I had to handle it. Handle it. Like he was doing me some kind of favor. The rest of the day was a blur. He left for work like nothing had happened, and I sat there staring at those papers until the words stopped making sense. My life, our life, was signed away in black ink. That evening, when he came back, I asked again, softer this time. Why, Mark, why would you do this? He looked tired, almost angry that I dared to ask again. You know how much debt we're in, Claire. The medical bills, the mortgage, the car loan. You think money grows on trees. This was the only way out. But it wasn't your decision alone. I snapped. He slammed his hand on the counter. I'm doing what I have to do for this family. You think I wanted to? You think this was easy for me? His voice was loud enough to shake the glasses on the shelf. I'd never seen him like that. I didn't even recognize him anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds between his breaths beside me. The man lying next to me had sold our home behind my back. How do you even come back from that? The next morning, a moving truck showed up. I hadn't packed a single thing. Mark said the buyers wanted to close quickly. It felt like I was being evicted from my own life. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains as strangers, carried out boxes of my memories, our kids' drawings, the old lamp from my mother, the couch where we spent rainy Sundays watching old movies, gone. I followed the truck with my car, not even knowing where I was going. Mark had said he found something smaller out near the edge of town. I didn't care. I just needed to see it. The new place looked nothing like home. It was gray, lifeless, a rental that smelled like someone else's dust. He handed me the keys like it was supposed to fix everything. It's temporary, he said, until things settle down. That night, as I unpacked boxes alone, I found another envelope. This one hidden beneath his toolbox. It was from a bank I didn't recognize. The words "private account" jumped off the page. I flipped through the documents, large withdrawals, transfers, and one payment to a woman's name I'd never seen before. My stomach turned cold. I read that name again and again, Melissa Hart. And then I remembered Mark had mentioned that name once, months ago. Someone from work? Someone who helped with investments? I looked over at him as he dozed off on the couch, beer bottle in hand, like nothing had happened. Something inside me broke that night. Not from anger, from realization. This wasn't about money. This was about betrayal. I picked up my phone and searched the name. It took less than a minute to find her, a real estate agent from the next town over. The same agency that handled our house sale. My whole body went numb. The documents weren't just forged. They were planned. Together. Outside, rain started to fall, slow and heavy, against the windows. I sat there for hours, staring at the screen, wondering how much of my life had been a lie. And that's when I made a promise to myself. I'd find out everything, every lie, every hidden truth. Because if he thought he could sell my home and my trust in the same deal, he was wrong. He had no idea what was coming next. The next morning, I followed him, and what I found out behind that locked office door changed everything. The next morning, I followed him. I told myself it wasn't stalking. It was survival. The man I married had turned into a stranger overnight, and every instinct in me screamed that something darker was hiding behind that office door. He left around 8, same as always, coffee in hand, his tie loose like he didn't care. I waited a few minutes before I followed, keeping a couple of cars between us. The town was waking up, people walking dogs, kids waiting for the school bus, everyone moving through their little routines, unaware that my world had fallen apart. He didn't drive to the construction site like he said he worked at. He drove downtown, parked behind a small brick building, and walked into an office that had a sign I'd already memorized from the documents. Hart Realty Group. My chest tightened. Melissa Hart, the woman whose name had been on those transfers. I sat there in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Part of me wanted to march right in there and make a scene, scream at both of them until someone called the cops. But another part of me, the smarter part, knew I needed proof. I waited. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, I saw him come out, laughing. He wasn't on the phone. He wasn't stressed. He was smiling, walking alongside her. She was younger, polished, the kind of woman who looked like she'd never had to scrub floors or stretch a grocery budget. And when she touched his arm and he didn't pull away, I felt something inside me just snap. I started the car and drove off before they could see me. My hands were shaking, my throat dry, but my mind was already racing. By the time I got home, I knew what I had to do. That evening when he walked in, I didn't even look at him. I just asked, "How was work?" He paused for half a second too long and then said, "Busy, same as always." I smiled, pretending to buy it. "You should eat. I made dinner." He sat down, acting normal, but I could see the guilt flickering in his eyes every time he looked at me. That was the thing about Marquis, was never good at lying. Not really. He just assumed I'd never question him. Later that night, after he fell asleep, I opened his briefcase. Inside were documents, listings, and a small black notebook. It had notes written in his handwriting, dates and numbers that looked like payment schedules, but what caught my attention was a single line scribbled at the top of one page. Close deal by Friday. Transfer funds, MH*. I took pictures of everything, every note, every page. The next morning, I called the bank pretending to be him. My heart was pounding as I tried to sound calm. "Hi, this is Mark Turner. I just need to confirm a transaction on my private account." The clerk on the phone hesitated, but after I gave her the account number from the papers, she said, "Yes, Mr. Turner, I see a pending wire transfer to a Melissa Hart scheduled for tomorrow." Tomorrow. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was theft. He was about to send her what was left of our life savings. I hung up, hands trembling. I had one day to stop it. I went to see a lawyer that afternoon. A friend from church had once given me her card just in case. I never thought I'd actually need it. She listened quietly as I told her everything. When I showed her the papers, she leaned back, let out a slow breath, and said, "Claire, this isn't just fraud. This is criminal. But you'll need solid proof of intent, emails, messages, anything that links them together." That night, I confronted him, not screaming, not crying, just calm. Dead calm. "I know about Melissa," I said. His face went pale. "What are you talking about? Don't lie to me." "I followed you." He stood up, his jaw tightening. "You're out of your mind. She's just a colleague. Then why are you transferring money to her tomorrow?" For a moment, he looked like he might explode. Then his face changed, like a switch flipped. He forced a laugh, walked toward me slowly, and said, "You've really lost it, Claire. You always overthink everything. That's why I didn't tell you about the sale. You can't handle pressure." That line hit me harder than anything else. He wasn't even denying it. He was gaslighting me, rewriting the truth like I was crazy. I stepped back. "I have the documents, Mark. Every transfer, every signature. If you go through with that payment tomorrow, I'll make sure you regret it." He glared at me, then turned away. "You think anyone's gonna believe you? The account's in my name. You're just a bored housewife looking for attention." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with the lights off, staring at the clock. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. By sunrise, I had a plan. If I couldn't stop the transfer directly, I'd have to make him stop himself. When he left for work, I went back to the lawyer and showed her the photos, the emails I'd pulled from his computer, the bank records. She looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. "You've got him, Claire. We'll file an injunction first thing in the morning. That'll freeze the funds." But before we could file anything, I got a message from an unknown number. No text, just a picture. It was a photo of me taken from across the street. In the picture, I was standing at the lawyer's office window. My phone buzzed again. "Stop digging, Claire. You don't know who you're dealing with." I felt the blood drain from my face. I looked out the window, scanning the street, but no one was there. Just cars passing, people walking. I called Mark's number straight to voicemail, and for the first time, I wasn't sure if he was the real enemy, or if someone else was pulling the strings behind all of it. That night, when he came home, he looked at me differently, like he knew I'd seen that message. Something in his eyes had changed. The man who once held my hand at our wedding was gone, and whoever he had become wasn't done with me yet. The next morning, the police showed up at my door. The knock on the door came just as the coffee finished brewing. *3, sharp hits, loud, deliberate, the kind of sound that makes your heart stop before your brain catches up. I opened the door, and two officers stood there. One older, calm, the other younger, eyes sharp and scanning every corner behind me. Claire Turner. The older one asked. Yes, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. We need to ask you a few questions about your husband. For a second, I thought they were here because of me, because of the documents, the investigation, the injunction we were about to file. But then the officer's tone shifted. There was an incident early this morning, he said quietly. Your husband's car was found near Miller's Creek. My stomach dropped. Found? What do you mean found? He hesitated, then said, he's not with the vehicle, ma'am. We're still searching the area. I stood there frozen, gripping the doorframe to keep myself upright. 100 emotions hit me all at once: anger, fear, guilt, relief, and none of them made sense. They asked to come in. I nodded, moving aside like I was on autopilot. They started asking questions: when I'd last seen him, if he'd mentioned going anywhere, if we'd been having problems. I gave short answers, the truth, but every word felt like walking through a fog. When they left, I just sat on the couch, staring at the spot where his jacket still hung on the hook by the door. The smell of his cologne lingered in the air, and I hated that it still made my chest ache. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A message, unknown number again. You should have listened. Attached was a photo of Mark's car, the same one the police described, half submerged in muddy water. My breath caught. My hand started shaking so bad I dropped the phone. I ran to the police station, told them about the text, showed them the picture. The detective took one look and frowned. We've been trying to trace that number. Whoever sent it has been using an encrypted app. It's not local. Not local. That meant this went deeper than Mark. 2 days later, they found him. He was alive, but barely. The official story was that he'd lost control of the car and gone off the road. But when I saw him in that hospital bed, bruised and pale, I knew there was more. He woke up, saw me standing there, and looked like he wanted to say something but stopped. I sat beside him, voice trembling. What happened, Mark? Who's doing this? He closed his eyes, whispering, you don't understand. I tried to fix it. I thought I could walk away. But they don't let you walk away. Who? Mark, Melissa. He shook his head slowly. Melissa works for them. She set it all up. The house, the account, all of it. I thought we'd make enough to pay off the debt, but they wanted more. They wanted everything. I leaned closer. Who are they? He opened his mouth, but before he could answer, the machines around him started beeping. His heart rate spiked. Nurses rushed in, and they pulled me out of the room. I never got that answer. A week later, he was gone. Official cause, cardiac arrest. But the detective's face when he told me said it all. He didn't believe it either. I sold what little we had left, moved across the state, and started over. Or at least tried to. But the past doesn't just disappear. It waits. 3 months later, I got a letter. No return address, no name. Inside was a single photo, our old house. In the window, barely visible, was a figure that looked like Mark. And on the back, written in shaky handwriting, were 5 words: they never stopped watching you. I sat there for hours, staring at that photo, realizing that maybe I'd never really know what was real and what wasn't. Now, every time I walk into my new home, I keep the curtains open during the day, but at night, I make sure they're shut tight. I tell myself it's just habit, not fear. But some nights, when I catch my reflection in the glass, I swear I can feel eyes on me. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's grief, or maybe, somewhere out there, someone's still making sure I never forget the price of trying to uncover the truth. Because the thing about betrayal is it doesn't end when the person's gone. It ends when the lies stop following you. And I don't think mine ever will. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, or felt your whole world fall apart overnight, you already know what that feels like. And if you want to hear how I found the courage to finally face the truth after everything they did, make sure you subscribe, because my next story will tell you exactly that.